Okay, good afternoon. Thank you everyone for coming. Great to have some very distinguished guests here. We are at the Radisys booth in Mobile World Congress 2025 on a very pertinent topic about how to work with breakthrough ideas in markets that represent high growth and high potential, right? So great to have everybody here. On the panel with me here, Khairat Akhmatov, who is the head of Freedom Telecom in Kazakhstan, Prakash Sankara, Senior Vice President, Geo, and Harpreet Singh, Executive Director of NGIC in Ghana. Of course, Prakash, Geo in India, and also, representing a lot of international interests that Geo has. Maybe if we could do a quick round of introduction. Khairat, if you would start, please.
Hello, I'm Karat. I'm CEO of Freedom Telecom. I also have a lot of. I call myself a technical CEO. I've been in tech industry since the graduation university. In Kazakhstan, I'm quite famous for founding the biggest smart city camera surveillance company. Also now managing Telecom in Freedom Holding. So it's an honor to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Prakash?
Hello, everybody, and a very good afternoon to everybody. So hopefully nobody's sleeping. All right, that's good. My name is Prakash. I am from Reliance Jio, like Arun said. I've been with Jio for almost 13 years now, since its inception, founding. Prior to that, I used to work at what now is T-Mobile. Back then used to be Sprint. I have about 27 years of telecom experience. And at Jio, I manage product strategy, and I also work very closely with our sister companies like Radisys in helping them define their strategy, go-to-market, and also working with strategic customer accounts, which are primarily the large telecommunications players across the globe. Thank you.
Okay, Harpreet.
Thanks, Prakash. I'm Harpreet Singh. I'm the CEO of SN Digital Solutions, which is based out of Ghana. I founded that company back in 2020, and we are now launching a 4G, 5G network as a service model to democratize data, to build borderless networks. And I'm the executive director of NextGen and Tracker. I've been in the market for about 30 years. Was responsible for the first 2G launch in India with SR Swisscom, 3G launch in UK, 030303 for 3 networks, 4G launch in UK with Vodafone UK, and we just launched the 5G in Ghana last year. So we're looking into this discussion to really see how the impact of technology really defines what we really actually achieve as a societal impact towards creating more and more digital dividends in the country. Thanks.
Fantastic. On that, which is a great point, let's segue to you, Prakash. Geo is an inspiration for many people around the world. The trajectory over the last 7 years really has actually inspired both Khairat and Harpreet in many ways. And it is beyond telecom what Geo has done. Can you kind of recap the journey a little bit, the multifaceted impact on society that Harpreet just touched upon?
Well, let's put it this way. The journey was never easy. We started in 2012, right? So there was a lot of planning, trying to figure out what is it that we are really trying to do. When we started, there were 14 operators in India. Did we want to become another operator? We went through that whole cycle, right? So it took us almost 3 years to kind of finally figure out what is it that we wanted to become. And I think the biggest inspiration, of course, is our chairman, Mr. Mukesh Ambani. And he always had the vision that we are not going to build a telco. We're going to build a digital platform. But the challenge at that point in time in India was that the networks were not there yet, right? It was even though it was a very large market, 14 operators, exorbitantly priced, especially for data, and voice was still expensive. And voice was the primary revenue channel for all those operators. So we decided that if we have to become a digital operator, we first have to democratize connectivity. Connectivity forms the baseline for everything, right? And so the first step was to go do something and disrupt the market and do something nobody had done before. And we made a bet. We made a bet on 4G and LTE at that point in time. in 2016, we decided to launch. And in fact, we made a very brave step, and we went with a single vendor solution.
Right.
And that was unheard of,
Right.
right? But we made a bet on someone who was an emerging player in that space, and that someone was Samsung, who now is a big, big telecom vendor. But post that, once we got the subscriber base growing, we gave affordable broadband to everybody, mobile broadband. Then we said, okay, let's make voice free, if that's the piece that's kind of holding everybody back. We gave voice for free. And then we started layering on top of the cake, right? Fortunately for us, the government of India also had same plans to go towards digitization. And it kind of dovetailed with the government's plan. So it was fintech going towards UPI, enabling UPI across all the subscriber base, and then content, right? And the biggest thing for us is content, right? Delivering content on the mobile in regions that are not like probably Europe or America, where a lot of people use mobile for content. We added that digital aspect of things, right? And now we are going down the AI space, right? So, but again, like I said, giving a solid foundation for connectivity is going to be critical for anything we do.
Perfect. Harkrit, what is the situation in your market? Prakash talked about 14 operators and coming in and disrupting. What does it look like in Ghana?
So in Ghana, we have the market which is upside down. We have one monopoly, and the rest of the two players are actually not performing. Okay? The market size is small. We only have 33 million subscribers. There's not too much of investment in the network infrastructure. And if you see the GSMA studies in Africa, mostly it's like a usage gap. Okay? So Ghana is suffering from two things. One is the supply is not there, so nobody is actually getting to the point to supply a lot of data. And second thing is coming up with the devices, so they don't have the devices. And you can take the third pillar that Prakash touched upon, which is about getting the content and application. So we were here last year at the same time. We're looking into partner with companies who are really innovative and can change the paradigm and bring digital to the society. And that's where we partner with Redis a lot. And we got a lot of knowledge and understanding what they have done in India. And we wanted to replicate the same model starting in Ghana. So our network as a service model is just not limited to putting infrastructure on towers and things. We want to take it to the consumer. We want to go to the point where we can get those affordable devices to the consumer, get them the content they want to use, get them the application they want to use, and we want to turn that around into, as you can say, like, I was in an investors meeting this morning, and it's like, what does differentiate with you? Because there are a lot of shared networks in Malaysia, and happen in Rwanda, it's happening in Mexico. I said the way we see ourselves is we want to be that player which is enabling and being a catalyst for the MNOs that draws them to make sure that they're actually reducing their capex, opex, and have the ability to acquire customers. Okay, so I think that's where we see a switch that we will try to plug on. And the plan is that if we are successful in Ghana with the model we're putting together, we'll be actually going pan-Africa. So we're already in discussions with 6 or 7 countries who want to deploy the same model. And we want to bring those digital dividends to the society. And those will only come when we actually connect the devices to the network and go back into the platform, applications, and content.
Freedom is a famous brand in Kazakhstan. What's the motivation to come into telecom?
Also in Kazakhstan, maybe it's like in Ghana, telecom industry was underinvested for a long time. And we are in top 30 for eGov technologies, electronic government. I think we are in top 10 for fintech, but for connectivity, for mobile, we are about like in 16 by Ookla rating. For fixed broadband, we just in last 2 years managed to go up from 100 place to 80 place. So it really, our founder, Timur Turov of Freedom Holding, thought that we really deserve much better connectivity because of we are also going into super app to fintech, and no matter how good is your mobile application, if connectivity is not working well, you will be suffering. So and that's how Timur decided to go there. And actually, like I wasn't applying for this job, so I was his partner in Sergey company in our smart cities business, and I was like somehow surprised when he offered me this position. So and I had two conditions, so that I will still like manage somehow oversee our smart city business, and that I won't move to cold Astana. I just moved out there. My kids are in Almaty. But the first thing about business that he said is that look at Geo, that he was inspired by Geo case. And so we brought him to you. We met several times. So we really want to do same inspiring things. Maybe not technologically same as Geo did in India because it's like a generation ahead. But what we see us as Freedom Holding, as Freedom Telecom, what we want to bring to our society is the same level of improvement or even bigger like Geo did to India.
Prakash, this is perfect. Talking about what Geo did in India, what are three things that really aided in this massive disruption in India caused by Geo?
So I think if I pick three things, right, that aided in the Geo transformation, one, which I think we're lucky, right, being in India, is scale, right, and the scale does help. We have 1.4 billion people, so that does help a lot. But one of the things that we, and Arun, you and I have spoken about this, right, as a strategy we want to take, and which is our chairman's wish too, is how can we take that disruption into other nations or even continents, right? Because if Geo has achieved scale in certain things, can other players, right, who are trying to change the socioeconomic, aspects of their region, can they benefit from it, right? And which is what we are striving to do, right? So, and it's not just about connectivity, right? I mean, there are areas where people want, especially in the region close to us, right, the Asian region. If you take Sri Lanka, for example, or you take Nepal, for example, we are working closely with those operators because everybody wants to go to a digital private public infrastructure, right? And implement something like UPI, right? And UPI or even things like Aadhaar and, which people in the West take it for granted. People have social security cards, Medicaid cards, and you have all these things that it's a well organized, system that's been put in place. But if you look at a lot of these regions, right, how do you bring healthcare to people, right? Well, the first step is even identifying who these people are, right? Identity is an issue because, you can't, even figure out where these people are, what they do. There's a lot of transient, migration that's happening. So for us, it's like, that's one thing. And the other thing that I see that we have been able to transform is, with connectivity is, like I said, is education and healthcare, right? Because a few things that we are working on, where Geo is bringing in the technology in India, but not necessarily the front end. It's done by the Reliance Foundation, right? Where we can take this connectivity anywhere, everywhere, and you can see Mimosa going and doing it on Mount Everest and things like those, right? And then they go in with the healthcare services, right? How do we bring healthcare across the board to everybody, right? How do you bring education, because there's still a huge divide when it comes to education, and how do you bring content, right? We have partnered with like Khan Academy and all these people, right? But how do you get that content delivered to people, right? And even if it's one of our small Geo Bharat phones, right? Even though it's a 4G phone, it's really affordable device, right? But it's still got 4G in it, and we still made sure that it'll render content, right? If a doctor wants to do a video call, the doctor can still do a video call. So it's kind of these transformational things that I think brings satisfaction, at least to me, when I see it's not purely about selling bits and bytes and saying, okay, I'm charging like $10 ARPU or something like that, right? But then what's the transitional effect that brings to the table for the masses, right?
Sure, sure. So, thank you, Prakash. Kairat, if there were a couple of things that you would like to leverage from the Geo experience, what would those be?
I heard the joke that Geo, when they launched, they had a billing problem, so they offered data for free. but and we will be doing something like this, maybe offering a substantial amount of services for free at the beginning. But overall, we really want to leverage of how to be bold at the market where nobody waiting, where is your competitors is not waiting for you, but customers do. So we really want to make our society economics wealthier. So that's, I think, key things. And also to leverage ecosystem approach that we sometimes joke, also laugh that our strategy may be called like the movie Everything Everywhere at Once. So we do have like our filming studios as well, producing our TV series at like for over the top. So really like working with partners, bold decision, that's what we will do.
Wonderful. Harkarit, question. What are you doing that is disruptive in Ghana and potentially for all of Africa?
I think from a disruption perspective, the model itself is very disruptive. It is challenging the status quo because if you see the telcos today, before Geo came in, the model is all inverted. If you see the Telefonica itself, and you go back, let's say, early 2010 and 11, Telefonica was valued at more than 300 or 400 billion dollars. The value of Telefonica today is less than 30 billion. So something is wrong in the telco industry, fundamentally wrong. And when you look into Africa, the market is full of islands. You still have 2G, which is prevailing as a technology. 3G is the second part of the technology, which is largely deployed. 4G is very scattered. So we are in 2025, and we're looking at these islands and creating what you call a digital divide across the continent. Because from 2G you can cover 90-95, 3G you need to increase the infrastructure, and you will be like 75-80% coverage. 4G is less, and 5G is much lesser. So what we want to bring in as a disruption to the market is to see how the same resources can be utilized by all the MNOs. Okay, the fundamental key to the success of all of this is that you actually bring down the cost of the capex. So it's distributed across the MNOs. You bring down the cost of OPEX. There is no cost of spectrum, so we are paying for the spectrum. And then you enable them in a way where they can differentiate on creating more applications, customer service, and creating real value to the society. Okay. Now, part of this disruptive model is that we are not limiting the infrastructure, which is a neutral host infrastructure, to just MNOs, because 5G inherently has a lot of different business cases that can be built up. Okay, like building up new digital entrepreneurs. So creating an economy that actually increases the society economics, making the society more prosperous. Because if you see now, until now, there will be one single MNO which is monopolizing the market. It is just limiting itself to its capex deployment and any investment to areas where it can make money. Okay. Whereas our part of the thing is like, if you give the spectrum to a neutral host, network as a service operator, we commit to deploy 4G, 5G everywhere. Because our economics, from a unit economics perspective and the scale, is basically dividing and using that infrastructure across MNOs, across ISPs. Okay? So we are bringing a complete change, a new paradigm in the market that will break out the silos and the status quo that exists. And we are facing a lot of challenges, and Arun is aware of it, because MNOs are not able to understand what they do because they love their network. The CTOs love their network like this. Yeah, I won't let it give it away. Then you have the tower companies. who say, oh, I want to have 3 different players on the tower, now you are only one, okay? But that is the model happening because you can't change something that has been set in motion. Nobody can change it. There is nothing that can change a destiny to happen. Simple as that. So we want to break any barriers to that. We want to reduce the barriers for any digital entrepreneur coming into the market and deploy the system and any application, any business case it wants within less than 30 days. So we are talking to some new people who are coming, who have no expertise around anything on MNOs and telcos, but they have got brilliant ideas of businesses, which never ever, you can say, would have been successful, even going beyond the phase of having some initial presentation. So there is this company that actually moves cash in transit for all of the banks in Ghana. They got security vehicles there, right? They have been looking for a solution that how do they break into the market, create more level of intimacy with the customers, tell them how the tracking is happening and things like that, and also build up their own portfolio of high-speed broadband services, because some of these applications and CCTVs and all help the customer to have that level of assurance that the things are moving fast, because you're moving a couple of million of cash at a certain point of time. And as part of that model, they're now saying, guys, can I actually create a space for me where I can do autonomous vehicle testing in Ghana? Because now 5G is available, there is low latency networks and stuff. So the industry itself and the market itself that is defining it is becoming more exciting, okay? So I think that's the disruption you want to bring, where anybody who's like any age, doesn't matter, is 18 years or 50 years, wants to go in and create a business model on a digital infrastructure where it doesn't have to put a capex, it doesn't have to put an opex, doesn't have to buy a spectrum, only get an ISP license and a connecting license and goes and deliver a service.
Very interesting. You touched upon something which I think is a common thread across all of you. You talked about moving lots of money. Fintech is a very hot subject across the world. Your holding company is in the financial products business. What do you think is the future of fintech and intersection with your business? How important is this?
So the future is ecosystem, of course, and now we launch, for example, lifestyle businesses integrated into our super app, like grocery shopping, movie tickets, and with the launch of referral program inside the super app, our bank who is managing the super app saw threefold increase in users in 3 months. So like whole first year of launching the super app, we had like 500,000 of subscribers. After launching our referral program, that we were giving away less than $10 per referral, like $3 or $5 per like referring a friend. We saw 1 million new customers in 2 months. So we really believe that we are on the right track with our ecosystem and ability to, and we had problems like crashing up, like high load, etc. So the ability of managing this high growth, combining many different tech companies, frameworks into some data lake on cloud, analyzing this with AI and making better and better products, we really need to be flexible and move forward, sometimes making mistakes, but overall like believing in our foundation and delivering great products to customers is the key.
Harkrit, fintech and intersection with your business?
So, in African markets, especially in Ghana, mobile money is where the most part of the business is done, okay? And mobile money is all on 2G, 3G, whatever you call. Every transaction is done through momos. That's called mobile money. So for us, the connectivity is the key to actually increase those financial inclusion. So we built up a program about like 2-3 years ago for bringing connectivity to rural areas in Ghana. And we actually acquired close to about 2.5 million new subscribers. And we are asked, so that connectivity helped these people to have a proper mobile money transactions. And the question is not about the moving the money. The question is about what is the value of that money to that person, you know? And the value of that money to that person is depending upon how much money he can make on the money that he's getting. So the idea is to create commerce. So we deployed about close to about 1,700 sites, is all 3G, in rural areas in Ghana. And initially, a lot of consultants, a lot of the top four consultants, were advising the government and the funds that having a 3G in these places is completely a nonsense approach. And we were standing and saying that you can't take Africa 50 years back. And we won, and the 3G was launched in those places, and it's a shared network. All three operators, MTN, Telecom, AT, roam seamlessly on it as national roaming. And today we are generating close to about 300 terabytes of data, more than 150 millions of voice minutes. It's very small because it's Ghana. The size is small. But the impact is huge. So we did a whole survey of these communities where the now 3G network is there. And there are four key areas of what is happening. First is they themselves are buying smart devices. So all of these consultants that came with lots of millions of dollars of fees were saying people need to be educated, they don't have money, they don't have electricity, and it's the bush. Nobody is going to use it, right? But our experience is different because you bring an internet to a place, you connect that particular place with 6 billion people around the world. So your health will go to that place, your education will go to that place, your commerce will go to that place. So I think that's the beauty of bringing internet, okay? So the four things are, first, they're buying their own devices, so nobody is financing, they're finding ways to buy their own devices. Second, they're having access to health from where they are. Okay, they can now connect, get their prescriptions, speak to the doctors. Education, the nearest schools were like 20, 30, 40 kilometers to walk. They can reach out to the teachers, get the material online and learn. And fourth and biggest impact is consumer, like the creating businesses. So they were actually producing vegetables, growing vegetables and stuff, and then going and traveling all the way to actually get the produce done. And by that time, they will lose the money and the time. And they can now do that. They can sell that produce online. The buyer itself comes and collects the produce and goes.
There you go.
So we are contributing much more than just doing a Momo transaction, and everything is happening on the Momo. So the idea of connectivity is critical to achieve those things where you actually reduce the digital divide and increase financial inclusion.
Wonderful. Kairat, 12 months from now, what are you going to be celebrating?
I'm sure and hope that we will be celebrating our big success of FWA on like fixed wireless access. We have good spectrum N79 with quite wide, like at least 100 megahertz. In most cities, like 200-300 megahertz of that spectrum. Also, we hope we will celebrate our intercity interconnectivity, like fiber. We have our own machinery. It's also like non-orthodox approach that we buy our own machinery, our own people, and we lay the direct body fiber ourselves. And we hope we also will launch some very good and great green data centers, like prefabricated or somehow like along this and the south of Kazakhstan, where we'll be laying new fiber. Like there is a lot of sun. And I believe that green energy now and battery storage is getting more and more viable. So we really hope that we will change the landscape and improve connectivity and data centers for Kazakhstan.
Wow, it's fantastic. It's great to hear. Prakash, 12 months from now, what are you going to be celebrating?
Just wanted to do one clarification on what Karat said. We didn't have issues with the billing system.
Okay.
So a little bit of story there. It was actually a go-to-market strategy because we went around to the different large billing system providers.
Right.
And the costs were out of the,
Right.
They were just inflated, right? So we decided to kind of build. We still have partners, but we decided to build majority of that system, right? But then when we went to our chairman and we said, okay, that's going to take 6 months, he said, okay, that's not acceptable. I have to launch. So he said, how about this? We come up with the go-to-market where we do a large field trial, right? We give it away for free for 6 months till we get our billing systems done. And then what we did magically is one day, people were just starting to get used to the data, starting to get used to 4G, and then we started putting in the offers, right? And of course, we did not want to kind of get their eyes to glaze over and saying, oh, now all of a sudden you have to pay like 100 rupees or 200 rupees. You kind of start slow and go that way. For us, Arun, 12 months from now, what we are looking forward to is there are a few things that we are also doing in the data center space. We're planning to build one of the largest data centers in Gujarat that will be powered by clean, sustainable energy, right? We do have some investments in solar. We bought a few companies that provide solar panels, so we'll be leveraging those sister companies that we have. And this is going to be pretty significant, right? Because our chairman has announced at the end of the day, we want to do 10 gigawatts is what our goal is. We will start with a 1 gigawatt data center and then build it. And just in our style, we like to make it cookie cutter so that it can be replicatable, right? And we're not making customized, because that just increases the investment. So AI data centers is one piece. And then AI is going to be a focus even from a software perspective, right? We are going to be focused on a lot of the AI inferencing, AI-based applications. We are going to bring AI into all aspects, even from a network perspective. We just made an announcement yesterday on AI, partnering with some of the large, players in the network space. And we want to bring that telco automation even into our telco business, and then eventually bring it into our retail business, bring it into our health sciences. So just go across all the different aspects, media, entertainment, right? All those aspects. So looking forward to that big AI. I don't know if the AIification, is that a right word? Maybe I'm making up
Of many
word.
things.
Of many things, right, is something we're looking forward to. And then another aspect, area that we are focused on, and I know we are working very closely with Radisys because they provide us a lot of the technology in that space, is the growth of home broadband.
Right.
Home broadband is something that we are targeting. We would like to grow it to like about 160 million homes. And we are working closely with Radisys in them helping us enable that, right? Whether it be FTTX, FWA, BWA, you name it, right? So that's something else I'm looking forward
Perfect. Harkrit, 12 months from now, what are we celebrating?
I'm celebrating my 25th marriage anniversary.
Ah, there you go.
If I
So you bring your wife here next year, we'll do a party for
if
you.
I'm still married, I don't know. So we'll see. No, I think on the serious tone, we want the Ghana model to be successful. We would have covered at least about 40% of the country with 4G and 5G. We would have launched aerial fiber as a product. We have made a commitment of training around 1,000 people, 1,000 engineers in Ghana, which is also comes from the digital acceleration lab that Radisys will work with us. And we will be looking forward to an announcement sometime in July about another 5 or 6 countries where we launch the same network as a service model. Okay, so I think from the perspective of the next 12 months, the whole focus is to make this model in Ghana a blueprint of success in Africa, and then launch it into multiple countries.
Fantastic, fantastic. We have a theme there. I'm just looking at it. It says transform communities, lives, and economies. I think this applies to all your companies, what you're doing. Thank you very much for being here this afternoon. It's been a pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, please, let's give them a big hand. Thank you.